Hello, and thanks for logging on to Big Time Basketball, your ticket to all things Big Ten hoops. Alongside Chris Widlick, I'm Chris Hagan.
Oh, yes. The March of Madness is on in the top-rated conference in the country. Maryland's Terrapins remain number one in the league standings, 12-3, ranked 7th nationally, fighting for a number one seed. The 22-4 Terps taking on bottom feeder Northwestern on Tuesday night, Chris.
Why you got to hurt the Wildcats' feelings? Hey, it was tougher than they expected. Maryland takes it 76-67. And for the Terps' perspective, here's Alif Karim.
15 straight at home and 9 in a row. The Maryland Terrapins took care of business, taking down Northwestern 76-67. The biggest moments on the game came from the biggest guy on the court. Jalen Smith finished the game with 22 points and 19 rebounds, just one board shy of a 2020 stat line.
I didn't realize how close I was until probably 3 minutes into the game, but hey, I still have my career high in rebounds, so that's a plus, and I help my team get aboard, so that's all that matters now.
He's actually doing even better than I imagined this year, and even 2 months ago.
3 other Terps scored more than 10 points in the game as well, specifically Anthony Cowan, who finished with 19 and moved into the number 8 spot on the Terps all-time scoring list. And Daryl Morcell had a career high of 7 assists in this one as well, finishing with a 13-7-7 stat line.
To be honest, my teammates probably more into it than I am in terms of passing people and scoring and all that. But I'm very appreciative.
People told me I had 5, 5, and 5 at halftime, trying to get a triple-double. I just wanted to win.
Next up for the Terps, a tough road battle in Columbus as they get set to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Covering Maryland, I'm Alif Karim.
Hey, thanks, Alif. Now, in the discussion all year long, Chris, it's been surprising Penn State. The Nittany Lions this week ranked a program best 9th in the country, 9-5 in conference play.
Really remarkable. Big game this week against the Fighting Illini in State College, and Illinois ends the PSU win streak at 8 games. Here's WCIA's Brett Behrens on the Illini beat.
Ayo Dosunmu is leaving his legacy. We've talked a lot about the Illinois sophomore guard this season, and for good reason. He added another chapter to the Illini March Madness curse he's on a mission to end by returning from what looked to be a season-ending injury and scoring a game-high 24 just a week later, upsetting 9th-ranked Penn State on the road. Dosunmu was a game-time decision, but when the game was on the line in Happy Valley, the Chicago native took over once again, putting the game on ice. It's his 5th field goal in the final minute of a one-possession win this season alone, and 3 of those have come on the road. Call him the closer. He's certainly the unquestioned Illini leader who battled through pain to get on the floor Tuesday night.
I'm not 100% now, but at least I know that I'm 200% locked in mentally, so I can go out there and give it all for my team. But Rutgers, I needed a couple more days to just be available. And also I knew, having that Mamba mentality, I just knew that, our team needed a win. This would be a big win, so I just wanted to come out here and do whatever I can to help my team win.
When Dosunmu committed to Illinois and when he announced he was coming back for his sophomore season, making the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013 and bringing Illini basketball back to relevance was always his goal. The Illini took another step towards both by beating the Nittany Lions. It's the first road win over a top 10 Big Ten team since 2008. Covering Illinois for Big Time Basketball, I'm Brett Behrens.
I wish I could be 200% locked in mentally. Just once. Hey, thank you, Brett. It was a not-so-happy Valley after that 62-56 win. For the Nittany Lions side of things, here's Peter Terpstra.
The win streak is done for now. Let's catch you up on what's going on with Penn State basketball. Number 9, Penn State hosted Illinois on Tuesday night, and Penn State was riding an 8-game win streak heading into that game. Packed house, now a regular thing at the Bryce Jordan Center. Illinois would slow things down, and the three-point shots were not falling for Penn State. They only made 4 of 19 long balls, and they were missing Myron Jones for the 4th straight game because of an illness, Coach says.
What's his diagnosis? Does he have one?
I just want to make
mono
sure,
or what is it?
I just want to make sure he's as healthy as possible before he puts the uniform on again. Look, his nickname's Buckets. I mean, he's a guy who can get you a 3-ball in a game like today, or at least get downhill and get yourself to the free throw line.
Sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the basket. Sometimes, we got good shots, shots that we wanted, and sometimes we didn't. But either way, the ball didn't go in the basket the same way. So
we got to get back in the lab and get 1% better.
Jones is the second leading scorer on the team, and Coach, as you heard, is not budging on any new information on his availability. Next up, Penn State travels to Indiana for a game on Sunday, looking to get back to winning ways. Covering Penn State, I'm Peter Terpstra.
Hey, thanks, Peter. It's always an up-and-down season, it seems like. And just when you're about to write off the Iowa squad, the Hawkeyes rebound with a win at Minnesota. And another big opportunity against number 25 Ohio State on Thursday night.
They've got the best player in the conference right now. Iowa solidly in third place in the league race going into Thursday's tangle with those Buckeyes for the night that was for the Hawkeyes. Here's Adam Rosso.
The Hawkeyes only played a 7-man rotation against Ohio State, meaning there were just 2 players coming off Fran McCaffery's bench. Those 2 players had the biggest impact against the Buckeyes. Cordell Pemsl and Bakari Evelyn combining for 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists in the Hawkeyes' 85-76 victory here at Carver Hawkeye Arena.
We don't win the game without them. And they did it at both ends, both of them. You know, Cordell's got 8 rebounds, 9 points. Bakari hitting threes, but driving the ball, making great decisions.
Guys being out definitely leaves more opportunity for, guys like myself, Cordell, to step up, and just me just getting more comfortable with the system, with the guys, how we want to play, how I can be effective in it. I think it's all kind of clicking at the right time now.
Bakari and I did a good job of taking what they give us, making sure, we're a part of getting rebounds and getting stops on the other end. And if you're doing that, then you have a good chance to win.
The Hawkeyes' victory over Ohio State is Iowa's 6th win over a ranked opponent this season. The Black and Gold now winning back-to-back games since losing C.J. Frederick to injury at Indiana. Fran McCaffery says they're going to play the long game with him into the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. They're not going to rush him back, even though Tuesday's matchup at Michigan State is for solo 3rd place in the Big Ten. With the Hawks in Iowa City, Adam Rosso reporting for Big Time Basketball.
Thank you, Adam. Iowa leads from the jump behind star center Luka Garza, knocking off Ohio State 85-76. Here's WCMH-TV's Jared Smalley with the Buckeyes.
Well, going into Thursday night in Iowa City, Ohio State was on a hot streak. 5 wins in 6 tries, winning in some tough places too, including Ann Arbor. But no Big Ten team has protected home court quite the way Iowa has this season, and the Hawkeyes presented OSU with a new challenge. Iowa, the top scoring team in the league. Ohio State, the top defensive team in the league. Well, offense won out Thursday night, especially early. Hawkeyes jumping out to a huge early lead. Buckeyes could not keep pace, and they fall 85-76. Tough game for Caleb Wesson trying to match up with Iowa star Luka Garza. Really tough matchup all the way around defensively.
It was more defensively. I just didn't think we had much bite to us defensively. Offensively, I didn't think we were great, but it was, they had 18 points within the first four minutes. I just thought it was more on the defensive end.
Ohio State now at 7-8 in league play, facing a huge test at home Sunday afternoon as Maryland comes to Columbus. And one important note for Ohio State, star freshman guard DJ Carton will return to campus and resume school at Ohio State. He took a leave of absence, you'll recall, a couple weeks ago to attend to mental health concerns, but it is unclear whether he will rejoin the team this season. For Big Time Basketball in Columbus, I'm Jared Smalley.
Thank you, Jared. Meantime, Michigan State had a big second half in Lincoln, and Sparty extends Nebraska's losing streak with an 86-65 win. Here's Audrey Dahlgren from WLNS-TV with the Spartan side.
Michigan State's basketball team has been looking for its 3rd scorer all year long. It's no secret. Cassius Winston and Xavier Tillman are a lock, but after that, it's a toss-up between Gabe Brown, Aaron Henry, Rocket Watts, and Kyle Arns. However, one of those guys emerged in MSU's 86-65 win over Nebraska, ready to take on that role, and it was Gabe Brown. He could not miss from downtown, finishing with 5 3-pointers. It was also a career-high night for the sophomore, scoring a total of 17 points, and it's what Michigan State needed to overcome some sloppy play. The Spartans turned the ball over a whopping 22 times. It was a much-needed win, though, as they try to make a late-season push to win the regular season title. And now they get the weekend off before hosting Iowa on Tuesday. Covering Michigan State for Big Time Basketball, I'm Audrey Dahlgren.
Well, thanks, Audrey. One Big Ten school also feeling the squeeze on the NCAA tournament bubble is Purdue. The Boilermakers paying a visit to the Kohl Center in Madison, where they've had some recent success, Chris.
Yeah, and for that, we go with our weekly visit and say hello to Bert Griffin.
Well, just when you thought the Wisconsin basketball program was in turmoil and fading from contention in the Big Ten, the Badgers get rolling once again. In Tuesday night's win over Purdue, Wisconsin jumped out to their lead by hitting shots from beyond the arc and then eventually closing out the victory at the free throw line, hitting their final 12 points for the charity stripe. Aleem Ford scored a career-high 19 and a career-best 5 trays from downtown, while Brad Davison and Brevin Pritzel each scored 13 for the Badgers, while Nate Reavers chipped in 12.
Back at the Kohl Center, had a tough one, and we competed the whole 40 minutes, and we were able to pull it out the end. Just stick with it. Good to be back in the Kohl Center. Appreciate you.
Well, and playing at home is a good thing. The Badgers will host Rutgers, who they lead by just a half game in the Big Ten standings on Sunday. And the victory over the Boilermakers, well, that was Wisconsin's 4th win in 5 games since Kobe King, who had been the team's leading scorer in conference play, officially announced he was leaving the program. For Big Time Basketball, I'm Burke Griffin.
Big Time Burke in the house. Here's the tale of the tape. The Badgers prevailing over Purdue, a 4-point contest. Now let's hear from the Boilers with WXIN's Dave Griffiths.
1 loss became 2, which became 3. Purdue's mid-Big Ten season momentum, built with 3 straight wins, has come crashing back to earth with a trio of losses. 2 of them from this past week, both on the road. First at Ohio State last Saturday, then a tight one at Wisconsin, which the Boilers dropped 69-65. Sure, every Big Ten team has struggled at least somewhat on the road in league play this year. Purdue's no exception, averaging 18 fewer points per game outside of Mackey Arena. The Golden Black find themselves firmly on the NCAA tournament bubble with a tough stretch of games to come, a situation Matt Painter thinks can be beneficial.
I'd rather be in this position where we are in our league than other people, because there's a lot of people out there that are playing teams that aren't going to go to the NCAA tournament or have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. And I think there's more pressure on those games to win those games on the road than there is anything. You know, we're playing a team, in my opinion, that will be in the NCAA tournament, you know, across the board, possibly in every game we play. Maybe it won't end up being 100% in hindsight, but each one of them have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament just like we do right now.
2 games for the Boilers this week, both of them in West Lafayette. They host Michigan Saturday and then go for a season sweep of their in-state rivals, Indiana, on Thursday. Covering Purdue, I'm Dave Griffiths.
Hey, thanks, Dave. And speaking of Ann Arbor, Juwan Howard has righted the ship for his Wolverines, and the return of Isaiah Livers has certainly helped.
Oh, he's a good one. But Livers would miss a key game against Rutgers with a right ankle injury suffered against Indiana. Scarlet Knights have never beaten Michigan on the hardwood. Here's Jack Doles on those Wolverines.
Despite not having Isaiah Livers again, Michigan's basketball team managed to hand Rutgers its first home loss of the season on Wednesday. That's 4 straight wins for the Wolverines, who are finding their stride right now. Maybe that's a reflection of their first-year head coach, Juwan Howard. He seems to be finding a nice comfort level on the sidelines, and if you spent any time around this man, then that may come as no surprise. He's the first black head coach at Michigan, and Howard takes that role very seriously and knows any success he has can have a far-reaching impact much farther than just his players.
It's more than just, I'm doing it for the Howard family. I'm doing it for the community back in Chicago. I'm also doing it for all the other aspiring young kids that want to someday play professionally, play on the collegiate level, and then someday come back and teach the game of basketball as a head coach. So it's my duty to be a great example. It's my duty to lead, to show the passion, the energy, the effort, be thankful and grateful for this position, and do my best wherever I can to help lead these young men.
Reporting on the Wolverines, I'm Jack Doles for Big Time Basketball.
Jack, thank you very much. So Rutgers still winless in their hoops history against Michigan, 0-13, and the perfect mark at the rack has a blemish. Here's Scarlet Knights head coach Steve Peichel.
That's the first time we've lost here at the rack, so we've had a huge home court advantage, but we'll be back in the gym. We'll be well prepared. Again, we're playing a Wisconsin team who's won some terrific games, so it'll be a battle. But first and foremost, the ball's got to go in, and that would help us a great deal. But our defense keeps us in all these games, and that's what we got to keep, being focused on our defense. Go on the road, elite defense, and then the ball goes in. We'll be able to get one on the road.
The Indiana Hoosiers looking to make the NCAA tournament field for the first time under head coach Archie Miller. IU 17-9 overall, but 7-8 in the league, walking a tightrope.
Yeah, that's life on the bubble in Bloomington. For a closer look at their postseason push, here once again is Dave Griffiths.
Could Indiana be gearing up for a late season run? I'm sure Coach Archie Miller hopes so, and there's certainly some evidence pointing in the Hoosiers' favor right now. In 2 games last week, IU traveled for both. Number 1 in Michigan was inarguably a dud, though. 24-point loss, out-rebounded by 16. The Wolverines outworked them, period. But then came game 2 of the week at Minnesota, and the Hoosiers bounced back in a significant way, beating the Gophers 68-56 in Trace Jackson Davis's best game of the year. The Big Ten Freshman of the Year candidate poured in a career-high 27 points and picked up another career-high 16 rebounds. IU made a distinct effort to get their best player the ball early and often, and it worked out for him.
He's playing 35 minutes as a young guy on the road. It's hard, but he was engaged tonight, and he really delivered on some big second shots too. You know, just some timely second shots that we needed. And, you know, credit to him, good job. And like I told the guys on the team at this time of year, you got to be numb to it. And we have obviously a really, really good Penn State team on Sunday at home, and home opportunities are, you know, the ones you want to get, but there's so few of them left. So we have to be ready to go on Sunday.
That's a top 10 Nittany Lions squad the Hoosiers will host Sunday at noon. Certainly a big game by any metric, but the biggest of the week likely comes on Thursday on the road visiting rivals Purdue. A head-to-head showdown with another team dancing around the NCAA tournament bubble as the season winds down. Covering Indiana, I'm Dave Griffiths.
Hey, thanks, Dave. And it was a bubblicious matchup indeed. Good for the Hoosiers, bad for the homestanding Gophers.
Well, obviously that's a blow. You know, there's no way around it. You know, we've got 5 left. You know, I always thought that you needed to win 5 of the 7. So you got to, you've dug yourself a hole, right? Anytime you lose at home in this league, it's a problem because it's really hard to win on the road. So we just got to narrow that focus and, you know, see if we can go get a, you know, Northwestern team who's playing good.
Now, a few years back, Caleb Swanigan out of Fort Wayne, Indiana's Homestead High School, was among the best in the conference. In fact, he was named Big Ten MVP at Purdue back in 2017.
What a star. Homestead High currently boasting another big-time prospect who's garnering attention from a handful of Big Ten schools. For more on that story, here's Wayne TV's Colton Howard.
Until you go through it, you don't realize how special it is.
Luke Goody's family is no stranger to the Big Ten.
Ben Skronik and TJ Green, Northwestern football. And then my dad, Craig Goody, and then my uncle Trent Green also played in the Big Ten. They played football at Indiana, so those are kind of my ties.
4 relatives, 4 former Big Ten athletes as recent as last year.
I go to my dad and even Ben all the time and ask for advice because they obviously were on the big stage.
Having a dad that excelled at football, advice that could be swing one way isn't, and dad just wants his son doing what he loves.
Don't play football because dad played football or grandpa played football or your uncles. Find a passion and love that you want to pursue and go for it. And we'll support you 110%.
Luke Goody had a decision to make because just last fall he was throwing touchdowns here on Homestead's football field. But to him, the decision came down to liking football but loving basketball. So Goody's going to be staying on the hardwood in the next 4 years in college.
Growing up, I've always played basketball and football, and I always tell people I love basketball and I like football. But in the long run, basketball is what I want to do.
I mean, all along, everyone's kind of been like, you know, you're not going to play football? And he just has never wavered, which actually makes it easier for us because I don't worry about a what if.
The sport might be decided, but the schools are still holding their breath. The class of 2021 baller is in no rush to make a decision.
I'm not looking to make a decision anytime soon. Most likely it'll be in the summer. I still want to get to a bunch of colleges and visit their campuses and see everything about the basketball programs.
Decision's still up in the air, but with 7 of his 10 offers coming via the Big Ten, Goody touched on what it would be like to play in that conference.
Every single game is going to be a good game. It's a great conference. I mean, every team is going to come in and be ready to fight, and there's not going to be an easy game.
No matter where Goody lands, the Homestead Guard is ready to do what it takes to succeed.
It's not who starts, it's always who finishes the game. That's what matters. Because whoever finishes the game is who the coach trusts the most.
A lot of games to be finished in the upcoming seasons. Coaches and fans alike excited to see where Goody ends up. For Big Time Basketball, I'm Colton Howard.
Colton, thank you. Good advice from Dad there.
And a good Ginger repping the race as well. I like that.
You bet he just got it from Mom. The rebuild for Nebraska basketball continues under Fred Hoiberg and company in Lincoln.
That's right. The mayor and Nebraska suffering through a current 10-game losing streak, and it doesn't get any better. Huskers in action Thursday night against Michigan State. Here's Jake Jones.
Time to talk some Big Red hoops. Nebraska's losing streak is up to 11 games. The Huskers' last win coming on January 7th against Iowa, their only win in 2020. The hits just kept on coming Thursday night. Nebraska welcoming Michigan State into Pinnacle Bank Arena for a 21-point loss. Now, the good news is Deshaun Burke came off the bench, led the team 21 points. Great performance for him. And it was a 3-point game at half, as we've seen so many times this season. Nebraska playing well in that first half and just cannot continue in the second half, as they went 9 of 32 from the field in that final 20 minutes and only 35% field goal shooting for the game. That's not going to help when you're trying to snap an 11-game skid. We'll have to see if the Huskers can get off the schneid on Monday when they hit the road for the Illini. Could be kind of a two birds with one stone situation. Nebraska's 0-9 on the road this season. A win could snap both skids. That's your check on Big Red. Covering Nebraska, I'm Jake Jones.
All right, thanks, Jake. And Northwestern says, thank goodness for Nebraska. The Huskers, the only team the lowly Wildcats have beaten in conference play this season. Here's Josh Friedman in Chicago.
Last place Northwestern dropped its 10th in a row Tuesday at 7th-ranked Maryland, 76-67. The Wildcats hung tough for most of the night thanks to 17 points from redshirt freshman Ryan Young. The 6'10" center has now topped 15 or more points in 4 games this season. Another first-year Wildcat, Boo Buie, dropped 15 points, while Miller Kopp was the third Northwestern player in double figures with 13. Here's head coach Chris Collins on his team's latest loss.
He's a freshman, so, for him to have that matchup for Buie to get a chance to play against Cowan, who's one of the premier point guards in America, for those two kids as freshmen on the road to get this kind of experience. This late in the year, it's just so good for our future and where we want to head. And, I just was really proud of Ryan. I thought, they got off to a quick start. They made some shots. They got ahead of, and I thought he was the one really early in the game that kind of settled us down. We went into him. He got some baskets, and I thought that got us going. So, I think Ryan Young's going to be a terrific player, over the course of the next 4 years. And, I'm really excited to watch his growth.
Next up for the Wildcats is a home date with Minnesota Sunday afternoon. NU fell to the Gophers last month on the road by 9. Covering Northwestern, I'm Josh Friedman.
Josh, thank you very much. So here's a look at the current standings, at least the top of the board. 4 teams with at least 10 victories, and Illinois knocking on that door. And the Terrapins have just a small cushion now, Chris.
Still a lot of ball to be played, and on Saturday, just one game. It's Michigan at Purdue. Then a busy slate on Sunday. It starts with a key matchup in Bloomington. Penn State looking to get back on track against Indiana, trying to keep their bubble hopes in good stead. That's at high noon Eastern time. Rutgers at Wisconsin, Minnesota at Northwestern, and then Maryland at Ohio State tipping at 4 o'clock. And hey, that will do it for this edition of Big Time Basketball.
For Chris Hagan, I'm Chris Woodlick. Thanks for logging on, and we will see you next Friday at high noon.